Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday Build. This is episode 1.41, and today we're going to be discussing the topic problematic layers of process, leaning out and shaping up with tech, featuring strategies for process optimization. My name is Brittany Hernandez, and I am a lawyer, a professional no-code, low-code developer, a legal tech educator, and the global ambassador to law schools for Gavel. So as I mentioned, today we're discussing the topic problematic layers of process, leaning out and shaping up with tech. So this is all about how we can utilize technology to strip away lots of different touch points along the way of a person's journey as they're trying to do business with us, whether they are a client and we're selling a service, or if we're selling a product. We can think about this whether we're lawyers, whether we're just regular business owners or entrepreneurs, just from the idea of thinking about our user's journey as well as our own internal journey and how we can utilize technology along the way to clean up those processes, to make things faster and more efficient. So we can spend most of our time spending time with our actual clients or making our product and services better. So we're going to start with the idea of planning out your processes and mapping them so that you can see where the touch points are all the way from the beginning. So let's think about how we might do this to begin with. So how would we do this if we weren't using technology? So in my case, to illustrate this, I'll show you what I made. I have a piece of paper that I used a pencil and just kind of did this mind map type of thing, which is if I was thinking about my client or users or customers' journey from living out in the real world to coming into my world. So let's say they're just going about their regular business. They somehow get a touch point of my business. They come to my world, meaning my domain, such as my website or a blog post or my channel on YouTube or whatever else. And then they kind of go through the sales funnel to become a customer. What does it look like after they become a customer, services delivery, and so on. So if we start to think about this process, we can also think about that abstraction or the abstracted layer of us thinking about this process and what we can use to optimize how we go about thinking about that user journey. So the first non-technical way we can think about this is utilizing a piece of paper and a pencil, which in my case works fine because I'm just trying to plan for this particular video. But let's say that I was in a situation where I was trying to transfer this information to my team and to collaborate with them in real time. It might be a little bit difficult for me to hold this paper like this or point to it like this for them to read it. It might be hard for maybe I have to take a picture and email it to everyone. So that's one process we can lean out using tech. It also might be the problem that I want to refer back to this paper in the future in order to not forget what we discussed, take notes about it, et cetera, et cetera. So one thing that you can do from that even initial process planning part of this particular situation is to use technology to store your brain dump as you're planning out and mapping out your processes as you want to automate them. So one thing I'm going to discuss quickly is the idea of utilizing features that are already in pieces of tech that you use for other things as well to accomplish your goals. So you're not paying for multiple different services or products or tools, and you're also storing your information in some centralized places so that you're not having to kind of be like, where is that information? Where did we do that mind map? What are we looking for? Where is it? So there's that kind of piece, which is what tools am I already using that utilize something that can do what I'm trying to do? And then the other piece of that is, but is there something out there that is easier to use and better or at a better price than what is in the feature that's in the tool that I already have and use? And the reason I make this distinction is because I use Canva a lot. So this is Canva here that I'm using for this presentation. I use this for all of my presentations. I use this for different marketing ideas and copy, as well as lots of different things. So they have a feature that's a whiteboard feature like this. So you are able to utilize a tool that you already have to do something like this kind of brain dump, mind map type of thing. So if this is something that works for you and it's sufficient and you like using this and it's comfortable enough for you to figure out, then just use this one. So for example, they have different templates you can choose from, like project roadmaps or business models or project plans or brand identities or business models, visual roadmaps, workflow diagrams, flow charts, et cetera, et cetera. You can even filter down by concept maps, Venn diagrams, flow charts, business, blah, 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 blah. You can search for something, et cetera. You can also just add different things like shapes and sticky notes, an image generator, graphics, etc. You can put in text. You can put in some brand stuff, any uploads you want to use. You can just draw if you want. You can put this in a folder or refer to different designs, folders, images, videos, etc. And so on. You can kind of go through and see how you can use lots of these different pieces. You can add photos to your mind map here and so on. So if you want to be able to utilize something like this, there's also actually some shortcuts. So if you actually click on any of these templates, you're going to see this Canva tips for whiteboards, which is the one we're using now. So if you just don't worry about this part and actually just focus on this part, you're going to see that there are some tips here on how you can use something like this faster for this kind of mind map, brain dump process map that we're going to create together. So the first one is that you can do shortcuts. So S for sticky notes. So if I just press S, I can just quickly generate a sticky note. I can resize it and I can start typing on it right away. And it also tells me who made this particular sticky note if we want to see, and if we were collaborating together as a team, because you're able to share this with team members by adding someone here or sharing it with someone here, with anyone with a link, can edit, can view, can comment, etc. So you're able to kind of go through and see that you can also alternatively go here, add a sticky note like this, but obviously the shortcut is going to be faster, that you can draw, that you can do lines and shapes. You can just press L and you can change what it looks like and whether it has a elbow in the middle, and so on. You can see that you can add text and change it and so on. So you can see kind of like how you can quickly utilize this whiteboard and the features that are available to you. You can add new pages, so you can toggle back and forth. You can give it a page title. So let's say that this one is something like phase 1, and this one is going to be called phase 2. You can add notes, you can add a timer. So if you were, for example, saying something to a group and you're all collaborating together on this particular whiteboard, you'd be able to say like, okay, for 5 minutes, we're all just going to put our ideas down on sticky notes and put them somewhere here on this map. And then we'll discuss them for 5 minutes or whatever else, if you're trying to stay on track. So that's just to say that this is something that's already included in a tool that I, for example, use quite a lot. You can have this be in a folder that you could refer back to, and it would be something where you could just go to this single place in order to do your mind map. If you have used, let's say, Miro before, you might think that Miro is a little bit better of an option for you because it has maybe more templates, or it's easier to use for you because of the way it's set up. I'm quite used to Miro. So this is Miro.com I'm referring to. And maybe this is more suitable for your purposes, but maybe it does make it to where you have to go outside and into another platform. But I also think that you should use whichever tool does the job the best for you and your team, and not necessarily that you're trying to force yourself to use something just because it's a feature that's available in a tool you already have. So it's not a hard and fast rule to always use something that's a feature of a tool you already have, but you should check that out first before you start having your data live in lots of different places. So just something to consider and not necessarily a hard and fast rule. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start mapping out our user journey and how we might optimize different pieces along the way. So if we think about a sales process for a business, no matter what kind of business you have, whether you're selling a service, whether you're selling a product, whatever else, physical, tangible products or digital products, if you have a platform, in any case, you're going to have some type of offering, and then you're going to have some type of consumer, somebody who is paying for whatever service that you offer, whether you offer courses, services as a lawyer, services as something else, a product such as shoes or whatever else. So when we think about that exchange of service or product and monetary kind of exchange, somebody is exchanging their money for your product or service, then we can think about broadly the process that they go through in order to learn about you, to do business with you, and then what happens after they do business with you. So as I mentioned in my kind of old school mind map here, I've just mapped out about 9 steps in this process, which would be, and obviously, because I kind of mentioned phase 1 and phase 2, so this would actually kind of be more around here, phase 2, which is the idea that you have the person living kind of in the world outside of your services and products, and they don't know you at all. They've never been to your website. They've never read your blog. They've never seen a video about you. They've never seen an advertisement on Facebook about you or whatever else. They've just been living their lives out in the world. So there's kind of this outer world, like nobody knows you step. So there's kind of a bridge that needs to happen between someone knowing nothing about you to someone knowing something about you. So we can say, let's say like, let's go with the idea of like client out in the, I don't know why I've capitalized the O, a client out in the world, like doesn't know about you. Okay, so we could say like step 1. Maybe we want to put a line here, and that's going to connect us to the next step, which is going to be something like, that wants to not be 0, but that's fine. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna just get it to stay. Well, whatever. So let's just maybe move it up a little bit. Okay, so we have this client is out in the world and doesn't know about you, and we need to get to the point where they know about us, and that bridge is going to be marketing. So we can put like, we create marketing content and put it in places they would see it multiple times. And there's kind of a rule of like 8 touch points, I think, where it takes like 8 touch points for someone to like take action about you. So you could just make this like a little note or something. And this is just going to be like a quick overview. It's not going to be like perfect and cover every granular detail of everything that's possibly like part of this particular flow. But I just want you to start thinking about what are each of the touch points along the way that you would want to then be able to break down and optimize through tech and you can use other kind of things as well. But in this particular discussion, we're thinking about what types of tech can we use in order to optimize our processes. So in this particular sense, we're saying that there's the client is out in the world, they don't know about you, but we need to create some marketing content and put it in places they would see it multiple times, or they have multiple touch points with us. So we have marketing content. So even in this phase, we could start thinking about process optimization, and we'll go into that in a second. So next we can have another little line and maybe another sticky note. And on this one, we have like the person's out in the world, they don't know about us. Then we need to create some marketing content and put it out there so that they would see us. Then we're nurturing the relationship with them. that actually this could kind of see, kind of could go over here, like nurturing 8 touch points. So this can be like building trust. So that can be things like free content, like white papers or free webinars and so on and so forth. So things that would make it to where they start to come into your space in your world a little bit, and you're bringing them from being out in the world into your world. So next we have this idea of you've nurtured them. So then you have this idea of calling them to action. So we want them to do something. We want them to book a time with us. We want them to buy something from us. We want them to, download something that is, whatever. So you want them to take some type of action. You don't want to just have them keep, nurturing them forever without having any type of call to action where they would convert to being a customer at some point. So we want them, in this case, let's say, book an initial consultation with us. So maybe this is like a free 15 or 30-minute consultation or time with a lawyer. Or for example, in the coaching space, a lot of the time the coaches actually will offer you like 90 minutes of a free first session. And that creates like a lot of reciprocity, kind of feelings of reciprocity, where the person feels kind of like, oh, you've given so much, I need to like work with you or give you something back. So we have kind of this idea that they're out in the world, they don't know anything about you. You put out marketing material and put it in places where they would see it multiple times. You do that you also nurture that relationship with them and build trust by creating things like free content. You then call them to action, things like booking an initial consultation or whatever else would be the first step in your particular process. Then you need to have some type of way of, so you have like the booking, but then you also have like information that you need to collect about them. So that would be some type of, let's say in like a service industry. So like some type of intake process or form that like connects, that feeds into, let's say, your single source of truth. This can be like a CRM, for example. So like a single profile of the customer or client, for example. So this is important because essentially you're also like just collecting data points. So this should have something that allows you to maybe understand a little bit of something about them, have some type of analytics about them. For example, maybe where their region is, maybe there's something about their role, how they heard about you or whatever else. So that can give you some analytics and data points that can be important. And having that single source of truth is the idea that you have all of your information about all of your customers feeding into a single place that you can refer to and make decisions about and see analytics about. Because if your data is scattered in lots of different places, it's a lot harder to gain clarity about who your customer is, where they are hearing about you, what ads, what marketing efforts are working, and so on. So that's going to be part of your process as well. So they're out there in the world, we have marketing, we have nurturing, we have a call to action, an intake process or form that feeds into a single source of truth. So if we're just thinking about that journey that they're going down, we can then say that we would either accept them or reject them as a client, or they would either accept or reject us as a service provider or a product provider. So in that particular case, it would lead to like engagement. So engagement in payment. So like say like their payment could be like at the beginning or it could be at the end. So I could say engagement and possibly payment. So maybe they're paying for something now, maybe they're paying for something later. Like, so this is like engagement of services and possibly payment. So we're seeing that we're just kind of seeing how this flows bit by bit. So after we go through the intake process and the engagement of the services, then we have this idea of services delivery. So let's do services delivery. That means that like you are actually carrying out the services that you've been engaged for. So let's say this could be a limited scope representation if you're a lawyer. This could be a package of coaching sessions if you're a coach. This could be 5 hours of mediation, whatever the case may be. You're performing whatever is the case of your services that you've been engaged for. So after the services delivery piece, I'm thinking there would be some type of aftercare, some type of thank you, some type of essentially any type of thing that would come after your services have been delivered. So let's do aftercare. And this could be and possibly payment, like once they're if not paid already, etc. So you're thinking about like, where is this person paying? At what stage are we asking them to pay us for our services? And then next, after this aftercare, I would think that there would be, and it could be possibly within this part here, but there could be an upsell, meaning that you have them graduate from one service into having another service with you as well. So let's say, for example, this person has purchased, let's say they just wanted to do a will. So they didn't have any other part of their estate plan. They just knew that they should get a will. So maybe we say like, now that you have your will, it would be really great for you to also have a power of attorney or living trust or something like that. So another service or product that goes along with what they already have. So somebody who's really good at this is actually Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. So they have, obviously everyone knows Tony Robbins, but if you're not as familiar with Dean Graziosi, he looks like this. So Dean Graziosi is quite an inspirational and interesting person. I just read his book, The Underdog Advantage, which was very good. And I signed up for his class with Tony Robbins called Launchpad. And what they did was they had a free webinar. So that's kind of, so I saw like an ad. So this is kind of like, I didn't know who Dean Graziosi was, but I knew who Tony Robbins was. I saw a marketing piece of content on like Instagram or something about a free webinar that was going to be hosted by them that was like 5 days that had like Jay Shetty and like Jamie Kern Lima and like all these other people that I find interesting. So then I saw that ad like on YouTube as well as on Instagram again and like all these different places. So I got those different touch points. At some point that, in the ads, it tells you like calls you to action, like sign up for the webinar. And then during the webinar, they also have another call to action, which would be, to sign up for the Launchpad course, which was, they go through the offer of like making an irresistible offer. They also break down the value and the price and so on. And then they have this process of taking your information and so in this particular case, you could kind of look at it in two different ways. Kind of them taking the information when you sign up for the webinar, which also then sends you an automated email that, encourages you to remember to save the date for the webinar and to show up at this, put on your alarms, et cetera, et cetera. But then they also have the intake or process where you're signing up for the actual course. And then they have the engagement of services and possibly payment. So in this part, it's, let's say I'm purchasing the course. So I'm paying at that time rather than some other time after some product or service is delivered. Then the services are delivered, in this case, immediately. You get immediate access to the course. Aftercare would be, they have it in this particular sense that they have you do like one live session per week for like 6 weeks. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, you have a 3-day live webinar with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, and some other people as well. And so at that point, since I'd already paid, I wouldn't be paying again, but they have upsold you to another service, which would be that they are talking about, this like next step of like Launchpad Accelerator, some other next thing that would either be, it's kind of this idea that like once someone says yes, it's easier to say yes again. In my particular case, I didn't purchase the next thing because I personally felt like it was like the first thing was quite expensive. So I wasn't quite ready to spend like a lot more money with them again, only 6 weeks later. So in my opinion, like I just didn't have I felt like I just needed like a lot more time in between the two asks. So that's something you consider as well. But for other people, maybe that sense of urgency was there and they had the money available, but it's going to take me a little bit of time to recover from what I paid. So it's just like everyone's going to have like a different sense on this, but there should be some opportunity that about, even if they don't say yes right now, they do know about what options are available to them if they'd like to continue working with you in the future. And then there's actually like another piece here, which is something that kind of would come from, if you look at the HubSpot flywheel, which is quite good. The flywheel model. There's this there's still like the traditional like sales funnel, but they kind of add this element of like that idea of like strangers. Like I said, they're out there in the world, they don't know about you. Then they become prospects because of your marketing efforts, because you've attracted them and you've engaged them in some way, like through webinars and other marketing content. And that those prospects then turn into customers because they've converted to a paid customer because you've called them to action in some way. And then you go into this idea of delight. Maybe you add, like Dean says, like an irresistible offer, or you go above and beyond because you add some crazy like deal that is so good, whatever. But then you also, because you've served them so well, you turn them into what's called promoters, which you can see here. And then it kind of goes through this cycle of not only do they refer, but they also stay in your circle and continue to purchase things from you over and over again along their life cycle at different stages. So like I said, maybe they originally only bought a service of you providing them with a will first, and then later they also said yes to you doing their irrevocable trust or some other type of service in that realm. So this last piece here that we'll add for now is promotion, or like promoters slash like champions, basically champions or whatever else. So in this sense, we've kind of covered that the client goes from being a stranger to coming into your space because of marketing. You've nurtured that relationship and built trust. You've called them to action. You've had them go through this intake process or form that feeds into a CRM or a single source of truth, where you can have a single view of your customer, and you've collected some data points and analytics. you've been engaged with your services and possibly had a payment at this sale point. You've have this process of delivering the actual services, whether that's instant or over the course of some time. Then you have some type of aftercare. There's some sense of when something ends. They finished the course, you've completed and delivered the contract or will, you've whatever else, delivered the package that contains the shoes that you sell. Then you've also invited them to work with you again on another service or product based on what their previous product was. And because you've served them so well, they've also now become promoters or champions. So this is a kind of, hypothetical, but very pretty bare bones, but also transferable and relevant in many different cases type of flow. Now, the reason why we've done this first is mainly just to say that because we now have a little bit of a map of what we have as different parts of our process for a customer coming in and out, like kind of our space, is to optimize how quickly somebody can move from one to another along this journey. So for example, if we think about the idea that we have the client out in the world that doesn't know about us, and we need to create marketing content and put it in places that they would see it, we can think about this marketing piece in multiple different ways. So let's say, for example, let's turn this one into like a pink one, or actually let's use this one. So let's say we have this marketing piece and we want to like do more stuff around this marketing piece. So let's say we have the marketing, like, let's say we want one of like our marketing assets. So we can say like assets. So these can be things like blog posts. These can be things like flyers with information about a webinar, the webinar itself. We can have different things like an Instagram post, a LinkedIn post with different copy. We can have, a billboard, or we can have some type of image that's on the subway advertisements, whatever else, just a TV ad, something that runs on YouTube, a Facebook ad, a Google ad, whatever else. So we can think about our assets, and then we can think about how we can optimize the process for these assets. So one thing you could think about as far as a tool is scheduling posts. So like, can we, so let's say, what would you do outside of having tech? Let's say if you didn't have tech, how would you like let people know about your service or product? Maybe you would put it in the newspaper. Maybe you would try to get on TV. Maybe you would try to have a PR person who helped you, et cetera, et cetera. But like now we have so many tools that we can create these types of marketing assets with. Things like, so I could say like scheduling posts, copy assistance with AI, for example. We can have things like Canva templates. We can have things like pixels for, or even inbuilt, or like Unsplash, like inbuilt pictures, etc. So this is just to say that there's like many parts of this that can be automated quickly and optimized. So let's say, for example, we wanted to create an Instagram post that lets people know about a webinar. One thing you could do is like maybe pull out a Word doc and or maybe like a Google Doc and like try to finagle a way of putting a picture and like putting some words and text over it or whatever else, and playing around with that and trying to figure out placement and all that. Or maybe you could just have Canva, which has a free plan, and you can just say, like, I want to have design that's an Instagram post, and then I can take a look at the templates and I can say, there's one here for a webinar. We could search for webinars. We can say like webinar. We can say, do I like any of these? Let's say I like, I don't know, this one. I can just click on it. Maybe I change the style. I shuffle the colors around. Maybe I want to take one of my uploads that has a picture of me. Let's say I like, let's see, this one, and I just move it around a little bit. Maybe I recrop it some kind of way. Maybe I want it to be smaller. And then let's say I want to change, I don't know, this color to this color and this color to this color. You can see how I'm like kind of just going through and quickly just changing a couple of things that I was able to pull. Maybe I take this one off and this one off and extend this one out a little bit. That looks a little bit better. Maybe I turn these into white or whatever else. So you're able to just kind of quickly go through and make a couple of changes. You could even change the font style, maybe this or whatever else. So you can say join our something webinar, change the date. Let's make it the 13th of October, 2023. For more information, visit, and then you put your website here. So let's do formamacademy.com, and boom, you're done. So that is a one way you can optimize the process of creating a, I'm just going to say like demo webinar Insta post. And then let's say you wanted to, so you already have one asset done in like whatever that was, 1 minute, or maybe you like fix it around a little bit, you change it around a little bit, but you get to choose what your templates are, what your starting point is. But there you have it, that you don't have to pull up Word and try to figure out placement. Somebody's already done this for you, and there's lots of different options, so you don't have to start from scratch. So what can you do that's already templated? Like what is already created for you that you can just edit instead of starting from scratch and reinventing the wheel every single time? The other thing is around like AI and copy. So let's say, for example, you have this webinar, and then you, also want to have the next post be something around like a blog post that talks about the importance of estate planning in California. So instead of like writing this from scratch, you can use the same tool, Canva, for example, and we can use Magic Write, which is an AI feature here. And we can say something like, write a blog post about the importance of estate planning in California. I can say generate, and then it's going to just take a second. It's going to give us some words that we can use. So we say something like, estate planning is an essential process that everyone must undertake to ensure that their assets and property are distributed according to their wishes after their demise. And maybe you would go in and not say like after their demise. It's like to say like after they've left this world or whatever. But it's giving you like a starting point to come up with ideas, takes you off of that blank page. In California, this process is particularly important given the state's complex and often changing laws regarding estate taxes and inheritance. Moreover, California has some unique laws that can make the process of estate planning even more complicated, such as community property laws and probate procedures, blah, 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 blah. And then you can go on and you can say something like, you can like add a design, you can, I don't know, whatever, you want to add here. And then let me just move this around, say, for example, so you can kind of see, and then maybe you wanted to add somebody to kind of show them what you made and get their feedback, whatever else. You can change this to be the title. This is not the best title, but we'll just go with it. And so you can see how you're starting to shape up a blog post from a blank page very, very quickly, and get then share this with other people on your team, or they can share it with you so that you can review, edit, give feedback on it, add sources, add images, etc. And then take this and add it to whatever post you're trying to make. So the other piece around that would be, like I mentioned, scheduling. So let's say you wanted to optimize how your process is for scheduling posts, so you can make sure that you're not posting something on the same day that someone else is posting something, and you have things crossing, and it's not linked and harmonized with what emails you're sending out, or what features are being released, or what services you're going to be putting out soon. And so you want all of that to be kind of scheduled and organized. So one thing you can do is use something like later.com or CoSchedule. If you wanted to use something that you already have, like we kind of said, is a good practice to consider if you already have a feature like that in a tool you already use. So let's say you use HubSpot, for example. They do have a tool like this. So it is something that would be something you'd need to upgrade to access. But if you use HubSpot for a lot of different things and you want to upgrade anyway, this might be something that would be worth upgrading to get access to, because they also have insights that you can take a look at as well. So you can see kind of what's working, what's not working, and you can kind of see what you're able to schedule here as well. So one of the things I mentioned, like I was talking about with the Canva board versus Miro, is around the idea of, is there a feature that you want to use that is within something that you already have? If so, if there's something better, is it worth it to kind of go off of whatever you already have in order to access the platform that is maybe like more specifically designed to address those things, rather than trying to spread themselves out to try to cover everything? So just ask yourself these questions. And one consideration might actually just be price. So for example, let's say you're using the free plan for HubSpot and you're not quite ready to upgrade, and like you still need this other service of scheduling your posts though. You might consider using another tool like one of these that I mentioned, because of the fact that you could maybe access a free plan. So that's something to consider. I mean, I think it would be better if you were able to, use everything within a single tool if it has all those services and it does everything you need it to. However, I am guilty. Like, it's kind of like do as I say, not as I do, you could say, but I'm more prone to like using something that's free and just like hacking it into whatever else I use. So it depends on what's important to you at the time. So in my particular case, if I'm starting off at a business where, I'm just starting out and I don't have a lot of like cash flow to be like spending on a lot of different software or whatever else, and I just want like the free plans for everything and I'll fix it later, that's okay too. Like, this has a free marketing calendar. If it does everything that you want it to do, and it can maybe later, it still gives you like insights, then that's fine. I just think be aware of how many different tools you're trying to like hack together. If there's a tool that has like a lot of different features and maybe it's worth spending the 17 pounds, or like in American dollars, maybe like $20 a month, in order to have that feature. Okay, so we've talked about like scheduling posts, copy assistance with AI, Canva templates where you have your webinar like this, for example, blog posts like this, for example, your different scheduling and posts, things like that. One thing to note is that, for example, LinkedIn has a way to schedule a post now, but it's good, but it's not necessarily part of like a harmonized like overall strategy. But also I was mentioning things like Pexels or Unsplash or inbuilt pictures. And what I mean by that is just the idea that, you wouldn't have to like go out and take a picture and then like upload that picture and then try to put it somewhere. You could just find like the ones that are more available to you for free. So these are like free stock photos that are royalty free, images and videos. So I think that Pexels is very good, and the quality of those images are very good, like this, very like high quality professional photographs. that you're allowed to use for free and without having to pay royalties. So you can also do videos here, which is good. And the reason why I like this one a little bit over Unsplash is Unsplash is quite good as well. But I don't believe they have videos that I'm aware of, but I could be wrong. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But they're similar, and they are also inbuilt in quite a lot of places. I believe this might be from Unsplash, and that Softer, for example, it has pixels built into it. But these are the inbuilt pictures I was thinking. So does, like I mentioned, does the tool that you're using already have something that you're trying to do? So that is kind of some different ideas to think about when you're thinking about marketing. Another one would be things around like how to build your blog and landing page. And one thing would be to utilize very easy to use like website builders, landing page builders, types of things. So one that I'm very, very partial to is called Softer. So obviously you can use different tools. There's lots of different tools. But I just really like Softer. I just think that they are quite good. So with this one, you're able to very quickly create, and now they even have like AI as well, but they have lots of different resources and templates that you can use if you just wanted to build like a quick lead capture form or a website or a user profile page or whatever else. You can just kind of go through, even like a coming soon page would be good. Dashboards and internal tools and marketplaces and resource directories and all sorts of stuff. But if you wanted to utilize something like this, you would be able to create something quite quickly in the editor, something that looks pretty good, like this, for example. So you could make it to where you build something quite customized. I made this one, and you can make this scalable in the sense that you can turn this just from a website into something that also has the feature of a client portal, like this, for example, where they can go over to their dashboard and check out, their information or book a call or see their balance and so on and so forth. So that's something you could utilize. And that really is the idea of like no code tools. So let me just put like, maybe say like website, utilize no code tools like Softer, etc. So anyway, that's long story short is just to say that if you just mapped out this process and then you started to break down each individual section to say, how can I optimize and use technology in order to improve the deliverability and scalability because of time and reach, each of these different pieces, such as marketing, nurturing, calls to action, intake process, and so on, you can kind of just see how technology can be used intermittently throughout this process in order to better serve your clients, better find them, and so on. Let's say, for example, we talk about quickly services delivery. So one thing that I thought was really good when I worked with Gig Law from Haley Leviashvili, who has a really good talk about process optimization here, which is a lot shorter than this one, which is Haley Leviashvili on the importance of building automation processes for startups and legal businesses. So this one is from January, and it's very, very good. And she talks about a lot of these different pieces in a slightly differently structured way, but has some really good insights. But she also uses Asana, and what she does is she sets her clients up with Asana accounts, because what happens is you're able to, in Asana, do something like this where you have a board that you and your clients can access without anyone else seeing it. It's just you and your little team and bubble. And on this board, you're able to track things like in this Kanban style where you have to do, in progress, done, you're ready for a review or whatever. And when someone is attached to this ticket or card, they're able to get notified anytime somebody does something on this particular one or tags them. So let's say, for example, I wanted to mention like Selena, then I could tag her here, and then I can say to like, what's the, like, have you finished this yet? Or, well, this wouldn't be like a good question, but do you have the template I can use for this? You can attach things to this, and so on and so forth. So what we did with Giglot is we would have our clients kind of get on a Asana board, and we'd be able to ask them for different information, ask them for different templates. We can send them the ones that we have. We can move things around and let them know this is now ready for your review. They can let us know changes need to be made. We can send it back for review, changes need to be made, et cetera, et cetera. We go through this process. We let each other know where we're at, and then they get an automatic notification when it's in the completion pile. And we're able to kind of track all of the different statuses of each of the projects that we're working on with a client. So that's one thing you can consider as well. And this goes around to like this idea of like buy versus build, which was a good question that was asked recently at a conference that I was at, where the person was asking like, should we be building kind of like this type of thing from scratch, or should we just buy or invest in like an Asana where they've already built this out? I think this is a really good question. I feel like you should use the tool that does the job the best with the least amount of extraneous touch points. So for example, like how many times am I asking this person to create a user account somewhere? Because we have so many different tools that we're using with them. Is there any possible way that I can make it to where they have like only one account that they need to create, and then that shows them all the information they need? But is it worthwhile to maybe have them have two, because one is really important to have them in this project kind of style where it's all of the automations for notifications and things like that, and chat functionality is already built in like an Asana. So is it worthwhile to ask them to do that maybe one or two times? Or is it really worth all of my time to try to build Asana from scratch just so that they save a little bit of time setting up an account? So is there 1 minute of creating an extra account in Asana in addition to one other thing, for example, really worth me having to build out Asana from scratch? So that's one of the things to think about as well. I think, this is really good. I use Asana with my my personal assistant, where we kind of go back and forth. And I've also used this for clients as well to share information and just keep it organized and keep a record of what we've done for them and the status of everything. So anyway, so that's just kind of an overview of how you can think about processes, process automation, services delivery, how you can go about streamlining each of these using tech along the way, even using tech to map out the processes that you want to use and optimize. So that is all for today's video. I know you went a little bit long, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you my contact information in a moment. But this has been an episode of the Wednesday Build, which has new episodes live every Wednesday. This was kind of an exceptional week because I was traveling to France. So I'm posting this a little bit later than normal, and it wasn't live, but I appreciate that everyone waited for me to kind of post this. I also put out a new issue of Code Word Hex every Tuesday, which is more on the demonstration side and kind of like a how-to, more granular. And then I also have the Tuesday Forecast, which is a free weekly newsletter that goes out every Tuesday. And then I have certification courses in Gavel, Go Full Page, as well as courses in Software and Airtable, with more to come. And each of these also touch things like Zapier and Notion and so on. I also have a community called Chromium Global, where we have professionals from lots of different industries who are interested in technology and rapid development. And then we also have an active Slack group for the Gabble community if you want to join us there as well. So thank you so much for those of you that are watching this. We're going to be back next Wednesday, which is going to be around conference tips for no-code legal tech developers. The who, what, where, when, why, and how, because I've been attending lots of conferences this year. I've been all over the world and flying back and forth, and that's why this particular one was a little bit later, is that there was just so much going on, and it was quite overwhelming to try to post and all these things. I actually was recording the previous code word hex session. I was in the hostel, sitting in the area where the shower was, trying to talk and type and sit and all the things while everyone in the room was sleeping. So sometimes you just have to do what you got to do to make this all work when you're business owners. Obviously, all of you will know. But that's just to say that it's my pleasure to get to do this and share kind of what I've found with all of you. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or via email at brittany@commam.pro. But for any inquiries relating to Gabble's law school program, you can reach out to me at brittany@gabble.io. So that is all for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.